The South Kongress podcast is a lifestyle show that sometimes crosses over into mature territory. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests who come from different backgrounds and experiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Okay. July 8th, live on Fite Plus by Triller. MLW, never say never. Alex Hammerstone defending the MLW World Heavyweight title against the Suplex Assassin, the Baron of Boomaye, Alex Kane. My brother was good.
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm nervous, I'm very excited, but I also just want to get this over with.
Yeah, right?
The match. Just want to get the match over.
Let it be July 9th already, right? Yeah.
Right.
So, like, when I think of MLW, you think about hard-hitting action. You think about guys that go out there and tear it up. You know, you think about of course, the Hammerstones, the Jacob Fatus of the world. I think of really the rise of middleweights with guys like Myron Reed, just some of the most athletic, hard-hitting wrestling I've ever seen. So you come into it, Suplex Assassin, and live up to the name, throwing people every which way, flipping them every which way. What is it that kind of evolved you into that specifically? Everybody kind of has their own wrestling styles, the moves they want to do. I know, like, when I used to create guys in like WWF No Mercy to age myself, I was giving them all the belly to bellies and the exploders and the trap soup. Like, that was my whole thing. So what is it about that particular style that really appealed to you?
For me, it's more, I draw more of it from doing Greco and freestyle in college. And like it's always interesting to me to like boom somebody. Like, even when I wrestled in high school, like I was always going for the double, because you really couldn't suplex people in high school.
Yeah.
But like, if you could get them in a double leg and get them up and just take them down or whatever, like it'll always get a good reaction. Like, even in amateur wrestling. So that's kind of what drew me to that. And then also growing up watching Shelton Benjamin and watching Brock Lesnar and watching Kurt Angle, I was always intrigued by like that powerhouse style. So that's really what led me to that.
What's really interesting, like, I think about, of course, they've all been doing it, for a long time at a high level. Shelton still wrestling, Brock still, in the main event. I think about those guys from like my adulthood, because like, I graduated high school in 2003. So I'm like watching them like when they're all like world heavyweight contenders and tag champions and fully established. What year were you in college?
Like 2013, 2014.
Okay, so you're 10 years younger. So you got to see those guys a whole lot. How bad did you want to suplex somebody in high school and just couldn't do it because they wouldn't let you?
Every time you get on like a low single, you come up to a high single and you want to lift them, and they're like, no, put him down safely.
What college did you go to?
Life University.
Okay, and you went there, like, was it on a wrestling scholarship, or did you pick it up?
No, I initially walked on.
Okay.
I walked on, and I earned like a scholarship for like the first like couple years. But then things got tricky. Some people got in trouble.
Yeah,
it was some real.
I got you. Okay.
Stuff. And then from there, I switched to rugby, for a season. And that was also fun, and that was also physical. And I got to incorporate some of my wrestling in there also.
What we see a lot, and different companies are doing it at different levels. Some guys work, some guys don't. Like, I remember way back, Kurt Angle and Daniel Puder, when we thought like that was going to be a thing and didn't quite work out. Ken Shamrock was the biggest star, in MMA. And so even if he never got to the highest level of wrestling, there was enough cachet on his name to where he could continue. We see guys that do great, and we see guys that never get it. It just never really translates. What do you think about making that transition from the amateurs to pro? How hard or how easy was that for you?
It was easy in the sense of like being able to pick things up, because like I only had like 6 months of training before I debuted against Fox. Like he kind of got me through there. But like, I think the hardest thing about it was remembering that it's a work and that this isn't shoot or whatever. Because I would sometimes in like practice, like when we were just chain wrestling, I would eat dudes alive, and I'm like, they were like, you can't do that. Like you got to work with the guy.
You got to turn your brain off a little bit, or
Yeah,
change the way you're thinking, right?
yeah. So like that was probably the hardest thing. Uh, Doing my training coming up was just like, okay, look, this isn't shoot, this isn't live or whatever. Like you got to turn it off. Like you guys are working together. So that was probably the hardest thing.
How long after you debuted did you feel like, okay, I got this? Like before we even talk about playing to crowds, when did you feel like, okay, this in-ring stuff, not a problem, this I can do?
About like a year or two, like right around the time where like I started, because it was the pandemic kind of happened when I started starting to get like in the swing of things. So about like 2 years after I debuted is when I started to feel like, okay, I actually kind of have a handle on this a little bit.
I've talked to different people about how they spent their time and really how they got their minds right wrestling or trying to work through a pandemic. You being so new to what you were doing, what was that time like? I mean, it's a lot of downtime. Of course, you can train, but you don't really get to be in front of audiences. You don't get a lot of feedback on your in-ring from people outside of coaches and trainers. What was that time like for you?
It was rough initially, because like they had like a few shows that would do like no fan shows or whatever, or like there was one that would like let like a few people in. That was a little dangerous now that I think about it. But like that was really, really weird. But I think it kind of let me like just like throw stuff at the wall and see what works for me. Like I'm not gonna get the response from the crowd, but like how do I feel about it? How does like the booker feel about it? They would stream it on YouTube, so you would see people in the chat like how is this hitting with the people in the chat. So that made it a little bit easier, but it was definitely rough. Um, like not even like for like a lot of that time we weren't even allowed to like go into training because like Fox had the school shut down. So I think somebody had ended up getting COVID or whatever, and like they didn't tell anybody, and then they ended up somebody else got COVID. They told Ashley, who's Fox's wife or whatever, and that didn't really get handled like it should have got handled or whatever. So like it just all got shut down for a bit of time. So it was just like in the gym training, and then like going to Alabama every Friday and wrestling and like trying stuff out.
What attracted you to his schools specifically? Like, I love that in 2023 and part of 2022, like he's finally really getting his flowers as far as being like one of these super unique talents who can go out there and do anything and charm a crowd and is just, one of those ones. What is it about his school and his training and his style that attracted you?
So initially when I looked up two schools because I'm from Villa Rica, Georgia. I can't even begin to tell you where it is. But it's like west or east of Atlanta. It's one of the two.
Okay.
So there was Robert Gibson School, and then there was Air Fox's school. I initially like tried to go to Robert Gibson School, but he was being weird and like it was like way too. I felt like it was way too expensive, but I didn't know what the
you didn't know what the
like,
price range was, like what it was supposed to be. Yeah.
But like I was sitting at home and I found Air Fox's school, WWE 4, and like they had like a website, they had a roster page. And initially the first person that I saw was Theory.
Yeah.
That was the first person I saw on the roster page. I'm like, this dude looks like he's already ready. Like he should already be on TV, yada, yada, yada. So I'm like, if this guy, Air Fox, is producing guys like this, then like this is where I need to be. I went to a school show because they do one every Thursday. And I went there and I think I saw like Alan Angels versus Ike Cross. And they did like everything that they were doing was like kind of like to me, because like it was stuff like you watch TV WWE for all those years or whatever, because I was a WWE kid.
Mhm.
And like, but like the stuff that they're doing is like wasn't the stuff I've seen on TV. So it was like, okay, this is really fucking cool. Like
Yeah,
some of the noises and the sound, like the leg slap sound, didn't know what the fuck that was. The
yeah,
first time I heard it, I'm like, how did he do that?
yeah. Seriously,
Um,
people get so mad about it, like on the internet. I'm like, I like it. Like to me, this is a comic book. Like I want to hear the pow and the zap sometimes. Yeah,
Before I get back to my story, I was watching Undertaker versus The Rock at No Way Out,
Mhm.
and the amount of the Rock was gonna slap that leg throwing that punch. He
Yeah,
was gonna slap that leg. So if The Rock can slap his leg on literally every punch, I don't want to
yeah.
hear it out of anybody else.
Exactly.
Um, but the thing that truly drew me to the WWE 4 was, so they had a graduation match that night. It was Ace Diamond versus AR Fox, and all the students came out to surround the ring, like hype up the crowd and stuff like that. And it was just like it felt like a family,
Yeah.
in a sense, and I like that, like it gave me like that same like feeling of camaraderie that you had like playing sports
Yeah.
growing up. Um, so that's one of the things that really drew me to it. I didn't even look up Fox at that point. Still, I went to another school show and then I went to sign up. And Fox, like the, when you see somebody important and like you get like goosebumps and like your pores kind of open up. It's like a
Mhm.
cooling feeling. That's the feeling that I got when I saw Fox. And I have not seen this man wrestle. I didn't know much about him, but
Yeah.
he just had that presence
He had
about him.
that glow.
He had
Yeah.
that glow, and
Yeah.
like he was so humble. He
Yeah.
was so humble. He was so nice. And again, it didn't feel like he was just doing it because, okay, this is my business or whatever. Like I'm doing this. Like he actually gave a damn.
Mhm.
Um, and so like he talked to me, he answered my questions. I paid like half of like an installment, and he actually let me get in the ring, and we did some rolls and stuff like that. But he didn't like throw me to the wolves just yet.
Mhm.
But like just like that initial interaction or whatever, that's truly what drew me to it. Because like, okay, this guy actually cares, about like his students and stuff. Because later did I learn that like people would go to school sometimes and their trainers don't actually give a damn about them. They just want their money.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. What's it like watching him now, on TV, being a part of big matches, going against, the elite, being in these trios matches, being in ROH, being on AEW, proud student. Is it like, it's like looking at your uncle, like making it, like he said he was going to make it?
Yeah, like uncle, brother, whatever relationship you want to put on that, but like
Mhm.
it's amazing. Like I remember like a year or two before that, like I would be on Twitter, not every day, but almost like every other week, like saying
Mhm.
like sign AR Fox, sign AR Fox, sign AR Fox or whatever. And to see it have actually happened. I mean, he waited his time or whatever. He kept his head down. He just kept grinding, kept staying ready. But like to now see it, like to like watch him is crazy. If I was able to cry, I would cry, but for some reason I can't.
I got you. No, I've heard some great AR Fox stories over drinks that we won't repeat on this show. All positive, all positive.
Yeah.
He's just here, the boy be doing his thing. So with that said, you come into it, you already have the athletic background. It's something
Mhm.
that you picked up quick. What's the best advice that he's given you, like so far as he's watched you grow?
Um, the best advice he's given me, not so much as far as like growing or whatever, because like we don't really get to talk that often.
Mhm.
But like when I first started out, he told me that if you want to be good at this, you have to become obsessed with this.
Right.
And you just have to watch wrestling. You have to watch as much wrestling as you possibly can. Because if you can understand how a match is put together, like the structure of a match, it'll make putting these matches together and doing training matches and stuff like that a whole lot easier. Like what to put where. Um, and mind you, before this, I was watching college football, I was watching basketball, I was watching all these things. Not like a super like diehard fan or anything like that, but I was like watching other things. Now all I watch is wrestling, whatever. So that kind of carried over to this to now. But like he was just like, yo, you got to become obsessed with this, absolutely obsessed with this, at least for 6 months
Yeah.
Of your time. So I feel like that's the best advice that he's given me so far. And then also like as like I started to like get into like what I wanted to be as far as like a wrestler, like he was always like, you know, like watch a lot of Brock Lesnar, look at how he sells, like because like I mean even at the time I wasn't, and when I go back and look I wasn't that big, but I guess at that time I was still kind of bigger than
Yeah.
other people. So he would always be like, you know, watch this person, watch that person, look at how they sell. Like he wasn't even talking about moves at that point. He was just like, yo, look at how this person sells. Like this person sells like this. Like you can't come up here, you got to stay down here, stuff like that. But he also really made me like dig for that damn information, like getting it out of him. Like he wasn't just like, here you go, here you go, here you go. He's like, if you got questions, you better ask them.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So this last year or so in MLW, you really came into your own like as a character. You know, we look at these vignettes that I see with you, which are like somehow like both intimidating and really, really funny. And that's hard for people to pull off. Like that's kind of a natural thing. That part of it, how much of that is your personality specifically? How much of that is I picked this up, you know, being in locker rooms, I picked this up from media, like what's really produced the character that is Alex Kane over the last year or so?
I think it has to do a lot with the producers and like kind of what they've given me. And then also like a lot of my personality. Because like if you met me in person, like just like off rip, I'd probably be kind of shy, shy-ish. But like Alex Kane's like he's Alex Kane is essentially like who I was when I was wrestling in high school, college, and playing football. Like the over the top side of myself. Or anytime I was in the neighborhood playing like ball with kids and stuff like that, like I was talking all the shit, whether I could back that shit up or not. I was talking my shit. And I kind of like drew that from like Terrell Owens and Chad Johnson because them motherfuckers just talking or whatever. And I thought
all
that
the
that
time.
was like really that really drew me into them as ball players. And then like I'm just trying. I want to be as much of myself as I possibly can now because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to be a lot of myself or whatever in the future. Because you know how things work, people want you to be certain things, so whatever. So I want to get that as much of across as now, and then also like this time in MLW has really helped me craft a character. Now, can I like completely explain it to you? No, because people always ask me who's Alex Kane. I don't know. I go in there, I bust people's heads, and I talk shit. That's what I do. But like I like up here when I'm out there and in front of the camera, I know who I am. But like explaining it to you is probably the hardest part for me.
You're living it. You're living it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even in conversations you and I have had, like at first it was like, you know, we're kind of cool. You know, we talk a little bit, but as time went on, you got a bit more comfortable. Like, yo, this and this and this and this is going on. Did you see this? What about this? And it's just, I think watching you kind of open up as time has progressed and just be more comfortable, like promoting yourself. When I say promoting, not like I have a match and watch, but just really being a showman has been really fun. Like it's been really fun to watch. So that combined with what you've been able to do in the ring, all of a sudden, main event, pay-per-view, challenging, and Hammerstone, Alex Hammerstone is probably him and Jacob Fatu, I would say, are the two names most synonymous with MLW. Like, of course, you got MJF there early, but, you know, not for a super long time. But, like, I'd say Hammerstone, Jacob Fatu, like, those are, you know, I don't like the term pillars. Pillars is silly. But, you know, the household names, the guys who have been up there in the main event, you know, have really been the anchors of that scene specifically. You got Hammerstone next weekend. How do you, well, first of all, before how you feel, the path to get here, what's been the toughest opponents over the last, you know, year, the toughest challenges? What's really got you to this point, you think, where not only are you facing him, but you're ready to face
him? I think definitely my matches with Davey Richards. I remember the very first match that we had, he was late, like criminally late. Like
Yeah.
I think he got there like 15 minutes before or whatever. So like that was a stressor, but that was also, I feel like that was also a test. And I was still able to pull that off with him. And then like even the second match we had, like I was getting more and more comfortable. And I've had like guys around me like O'Shea and Shug D. Shug D is huge for me because he's always the one to be like I
The
remember
player
before
coach. The
yeah,
player coach.
definitely.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get him on screen. We'll see. But he told me before I wrestled Davey Richards, he was like, I know like the first time you felt like, okay, you're in the ring with Davey Richards, but we can't have that this time. I need
Yeah.
you to go in there and wrestle like Davey Richards is in the ring with you. This is
Yeah.
your time. This is your show. So like those matches, especially the feud that I had with uh, uh, Davey Boy Smith Jr. That was really, 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 really pivotal for me, and really like coming into my own because some of those promos that I had like in that time feuding with him, like really like made me truly comfortable with myself in front of the camera and out in the ring, and just just doing the damn thing. Um, and then also the battle riot was like, no, not even the battle riot. The moment that I knew like, okay, like this, we have something, like especially with the Boomaye stuff, like we have something, was the no ropes match that I had with Davey Boy Smith Jr. or whatever. Because I didn't I mean you can't tell when you watch if you watched it or whatever, but the music didn't hit the way it was supposed to, and I was supposed to have pyro too. But none of those things happened. But the people, before they even heard the music, they was chanting Boomaye. Like,
Yeah.
and I was just like, yo, I'm about to run through a damn wall at this point. I was that hype. And then the battle riot kind of put the icing on the cake. So that's that's kind of the path for me that got me ready for wrestling Hammerstone. Then I've wrestled him before. So
Yeah. So again, he's somebody you've been in the ring with before, but this is the main event.
yes, main event.
Pay-per-view for the World Heavyweight Championship. Talk about how you feel like you match up with him, and why you think it's your time come July 8th.
Match up with him how? Like I mean, physically he's
a house.
He's a house.
Yeah.
He's definitely a house. But I mean, like he has like the physique and he has the strength that he has. I have my athletic ability, my wrestling ability, and my resourcefulness. If you
got to get under him some type of way.
I gotta get yeah, and I get under him, and we going whether he want to go or not.
Yeah.
It's just been how do I say this? I've gone through too much on this journey to this point to just lay down and lose or just get beat or whatever. Like I'm going to give this man absolutely everything I have, and it will be enough. It will be enough. Because it's not I think some people think that, oh, is he gonna survive? Like is he gonna survive?
Yeah.
Is he gonna survive? Like he's one hell of a champion. He's carried the banner maybe better than anybody. I mean, I guess it's a toss up between him and Fatu. But like he's been champion for like 2 years. And somebody got to knock him off his horse, and if it's not me, then who?
Exactly. All right, you win the title July 8th. They hand you a microphone. What's the first thing you say? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I'm going to Disneyland. No, I'm not going to Disneyland. Man, I don't even know. Maybe I finally get to cry at that moment.
There you go. Maybe. The tears. Because you haven't got the chance to do it. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, man, MLW, never say never. Live from Philly, 2300 Arena, Fite TV Plus.
My home.
Yeah.
That's my home.
That's your building. Exactly.
It really is my building. I debuted there.
Yeah.
And now all my biggest moments happened in that building.
Yeah. So you got home field advantage. I mean, the crowd's going to be on your side. Yeah, man. This is gonna be one of them ones. All right, for sure. MLW's Never Say Never, 2300 Arena in Philly. Fite Plus by Triller, July 8th. You want a ticket to the show? MLW2300.com. Alex Kane, my brother. They told me Boomaya is for the people. Is that the truth?
Yes, Boomaya is for the people.
Absolutely, absolutely. Best of luck to you next weekend, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
The South Kongress podcast